Let's go ahead and, all right. Can everyone hear me okay? Feel free to send us a note in the chat if you have any issues. We're gonna go through a couple things here first. So we're gonna run through a little slide deck. We'll just talk about a couple things that might answer some of your questions. And then any questions that come up during that process, feel free to drop them in the chat. We may get to them as we're going through the deck, or we may get to them after the fact. Yeah, I think that that's kind of it. So thanks again, everybody, for jumping on. And without further ado, let's get started here. All right. Let's see. You see my screen?
Yeah, that's
okay,
good.
Great. All right. Actually, you know what? Hold on one second, everybody. Just let me do one thing here. Sorry. All right, let's try that again. All right, here we go. You see my screen? Everyone's good?
Yep. Great.
All right, so thank you everybody so much for joining us, and thank you for your interest in the Growth Incubator. I'm Silly Daly. I'm the Director of Development and Operations. Patrick is with us as well. He is the founder of Canopy Boulder and our Managing Director as well. You know, Canopy has been around since 2014. Our mission has always been the same, although kind of the way we've done it has definitely evolved over time, trying to be as responsive to the market as possible and sort of the changing landscape of cannabis. But we have existed since 2014. We invest into ancillary cannabis companies. Primarily, we've done some hemp investing as well, though what we're talking about today is just for ancillary businesses. So let's kind of jump into it here. Oops. Get a click. There we go. So here's what we're going to kind of cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about what Canopy Boulder is, who we are, what the Growth Incubator is, the structure of the program, the offer that we have, what we like when we are looking at companies and who we're sort of prioritizing, and then what the application process looks like, what the timing looks like, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So as I mentioned, if you have questions, feel free to kind of drop them down here in the bottom, and we will make sure that we get to those as well. So great.
Hey, Celia, real quick, yeah. Are we recording this?
We are recording this. So this will be recorded, and everyone who I think is registered or who has clicked and added this to their calendar will have an opportunity to get it. We'll also put it on our YouTube channel. So if you've got other people that you want to point in that direction, it'll be up there as well and findable. So great. All right, so let's get started. As I said, I'm Celia Daly, and Patrick is with us as well. We make up the team here at Canopy Boulder these days. So what is Canopy Boulder? So we're a leading investor in the industry. So we invest in early and growth stage companies, ancillary technologies, and hemp and CBD. Today we're just talking about ancillary technologies, as that is what is relevant for the Growth Incubator. Since our inception, so sorry, my cat decided to rip my headphones out of my ears. So we do this with over 200 mentors. This is really the lifeblood of our program. We really could not do it without them. These are people from both the industry itself, so you know, cultivators, MSOs, those types of people, as well as outside the industry who can kind of help add some context to just general business operations. Since we've started, we've launched, I think, about 115, 116 companies. Those companies, that's 120 investments into those companies. Those companies are now worth about $290+ million, and they have actually raised close to a little over $130 million. So that's been kind of awesome to watch. Here are some of the sort of ancillary verticals that we've worked with and some of the companies that are in our portfolio, and sort of expanding all the time. I'm sorry. So as I mentioned, we have been doing this since 2014. Our program is normally an in-person program. but the world is a very different place than it was a year ago or even a few months ago. With COVID and sort of everything that's going on in the world, we have moved to sort of a more virtual version. It's kind of a good time to be in cannabis. It's a little bit all over the place, right? So cannabis was deemed essential, which is amazing for our industry. And then at the same time was told that they couldn't participate in a lot of the federal aid. So it's been very up and down for the industry. Overall, I think, I don't know, Patrick, if you want to speak to some of these patterns.
Yeah, I included some data on, this is essentially a daily sales trend line from BDS Analytics, one of our first companies that we incubated and launched out of Canopy Boulder, and now they're the leading data provider in the, as now they're calling it, the cannabinoid industry. So, yeah, what I'd say is that the cannabis industry daily sales, weekly sales were moving along in a very steady heartbeat fashion, sort of peaks on the Friday, Saturday, and valleys and sort of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then back up. And as you can see here, there was a little bit of a heart attack. It's like that heartbeat went awry for a while, but now we're seeing it come back. And, it's like we've made it through to the other side, and things are getting back to normal with the cannabis industry. And the reason that we're looking and focusing on ancillary products and services with this cohort is because these companies they've been through a sort of a extreme event, right? This heart attack for the industry. And now they want to start doing things in a healthier way, right? So they want to make sure that they are in a better place. And then if this happens again, their systems are more structured, their processes are tighter, their tools are better. And we want to help provide all those things. And that's why we're really focusing on ancillary products and services here with this growth incubator.
Absolutely. Our program, as I mentioned, used to be an in-person program. We're now focusing on virtual. I think that's just generally kind of the direction that we're all going, and I think, one of the things that's really the core part of what Canopy Boulder is trying to be innovative and trying to be responsive. So we don't like to just kind of keep doing the same thing we've always been doing just because we've always been doing it. We're really trying to be responsive. So for now, we're going towards virtual programs. That may change, and that will all always be communicated via our social media, our newsletter. So if you're not already following us on all those channels, we recommend it.
Hey, and I'd also add that, we're being and doing our best to remain super flexible with how things are going. I mean, if things change and we're able to hold events in person and, the teams want to meet in person, we're absolutely going to take advantage of that, but I think in an abundance of caution, we are moving towards a primarily virtual program for our growth incubator. Just to make sure that we are doing everything as we should. There's no incentive to take real risks right now, and frankly, we've run 4 weeks of our last accelerator program virtually, and it went really well. And we created new tools that are really benefiting our teams. And I'll be honest with you, Celia has been masterful in this change, and she's a great example for everybody on being focused, value-based, and responsive to what's happening. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out.
Patrick. All right. So let's jump into it. Patrick, you want to sort of jump in and talk about the program?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know how I become the presenting
you can't.
face.
You just have to tell me when you want me to click.
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna just see if I am I on screen at all? I don't know if I'm on screen. Okay, cool. Okay, so the growth incubator. What are we focused on? Like I said, ancillary products and services. This is data, software, tech, media, apps, ag tech. If you are a state licensed business, you're a dispensary, a processor, manufacturer, cultivator, we're not investing in those businesses. If you are a CBD or hemp business, we are not investing in those businesses right now. So just purely ancillary products and services. Okay, next slide. And we are interested in investing in revenue generating businesses. We want you to have a product or service in the market. You've offered that to customers. They've purchased it. They're paying for it. You've kind of turned the wheel of your business to satisfy demand, and you've experienced what comes with that, everything that comes with that in satisfying the promise you've made to customers. So you need to be generating revenues. Next one. And, you need to be ready to commit to a bit of a, 4-week sprint with us. I don't think the time commitment is going to be anything like that we've presented in the past for our accelerator, where there's an in-person requirement and everything that comes with that, travel and just being present. But we want teams that want to work with us and focus on sales, marketing, and growth. So ready to dive in and be part of a new community that is Canopy Boulder. Oop.
Sorry about that.
And then is there another, I think there's another bullet.
We were gonna, so just a little bit here about growth. This is a little clip from one of our alumni. So she can talk a little bit about what it looks like to be virtual.
No sound. Hey, Celia, I don't know if I can hear that.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I can fix that.
Could it be your headphones?
It could. I'm sorry, everybody. 1 second. This is always a little funky here. Hold on. Audio settings. Yeah, maybe. Let me see it.
Pivoted to just address the fact that people were no longer necessarily coming into the office, but still creating environments for us to actually ask and connect with investors and ask key questions about not only what they were looking for from an investment perspective, but also what they were seeing in the industry and how we could essentially address some of those needs. That was incredibly helpful. And because those experiences were much more intimate, where we were able to have these conversations with investors, a lot of our questions were answered, as well as, again, even just some of the feedback that the investors gave us pushed us to be stronger companies, especially during something like COVID.
Yes, this is just a little bit of feedback on sort of what our program looks like when it's virtual. Patrick, if you want to keep moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Celia. And, we really are, we're not focusing on fundraising in this program. We're not focusing on building out the financial model. We are here to focus on growing your business, because the reason for that is that this is the time, to prove to yourself and to the market and to the investment community that'll be here, that it's here, but will definitely be showing up as we get more clarity on the future, that you are a survivor and you're a winner. And so what we want to be doing in this time is helping you grow. And, we have a goal, whether or not we'll be able to achieve it together, but we need to set a big goal of doubling sales. And that's what we're going to be, that's going to be sort of the North Star for us through this program with each of the 4 companies that we're going to work with. All right. Let's next slide.
So talk a little bit about growth here with one of our alumni.
Themselves, we did 3x, something like that, MRR growth in the time we were in the program. And a large number of that, if you look at our existing pipeline and our existing customers, like a huge amount of that was from either strategies we developed while in the program, realizing certain things we had to achieve from the program helped crystallize, how does the valuations work in the industry? What kind of numbers do we need to be hitting in order to be successful? What does success look like? And getting those numbers for me personally led me back into a strategy of how to get them. And, we're in Ohio and Colorado. We weren't before, purely because of connections we made through the program. And our focus on how to build out our sales channel, I think, Although I wouldn't say that necessarily like the program explicitly said how to build a sales channel, like I have enough sales background, but really crystallized the numbers of what we need to get to, which helped us home heavily. So yeah, no, I mean, we've had tremendous growth through it.
Yeah. So that's Andrew Watson, CEO founder of Happy Cabbage. So let's talk a little bit about the different program phases that we're talking about here. So I want to break it down into I think four phases. First is the pre-program phase. You know, this is the period before the program begins, and it really starts with the application, the first outreach, where we're really trying to assess the team, you know, the opportunity, the business, the viability, like any investor. But specifically, we're going to be looking at some of your sales and marketing processes that you have in place, the talent, the tools, and the strategies that you're employing. And we're also going to want to review some of the previous marketing and sales performance, right? It's very easy to talk about generalities and talk about the softness of sales and the soft elements of marketing, but we really want to zero in on the data. What does it tell us about what's working and not working? Because the one thing that we learned over the years is that anybody who stands up in front of you as an investor or advisor or mentor and says, I know what you should do and I know what will work, is usually wrong. Because every business is different, just like every person is different, and every business needs different things or a different combination of things to be successful. So we're going to make sure that we are following the data and following the best practices that we've learned over like what now 11 different cohorts of companies at Canopy Boulder. All right, and then let's switch to phase 2, Celia. All right, phase 2 of the program. Let me get back my notes. This is like the sprints. This is when we're in the 4-week program. This is going to be A/B testing, review, adjusting, repeating experiments, marketing and sales efforts. We're learning, developing scripts, right? Meeting with mentors, alumni, advisors, people in the industry. Obviously, we want to get you connected with, if our goal is to help you double sales, from the jump, we got to make sure that we are getting you in front of people that can get you honest feedback. And, frankly, so our mentors, they are some of the best in the business. And they've been there and done that, not just outside the industry, but inside the industry. And I want to, one that I'll call out that we love to have is Ray Thompson, who's the COO of Akerna. And Ray has been a sales manager and process developer for a long time in his career. And he knows how to give you the information, the messaging as a leader to really impact your business. And it's not just what he says, but how he delivers it. So we're going to make sure that people like Ray, who have not only experience outside the industry, but also applying those best practices and those tactics to the industry, they become a resource for you. He's just one of 200 plus mentors, right? But breaking it down, with sales, we definitely want to look at talent. The management, how you manage that talent. What's the compensation incentive programs look like? Are they market or market standard? Are they different? Is it something that we need to change to come in line with what a fast growing company in the ancillary products and services space should look like? And then of course we want to look at the performance and how you're reviewing those people. And then just how you present the product in itself is critical. We're big believers in A/B testing and letting the data in letting the customers, lead us to the answers. We certainly don't stand up and feel like we have the answers already. And with marketing, we're going to bring in people that are experts in digital marketing and event marketing and brand marketing and messaging, and make sure that everybody just has the right mindset and that we're all on the same page with how we go to market. Because too often companies see themselves or their product as the hero in the story. And I think it's become really clear strategically and then tactically and then very practically that by putting the customer in that hero role, we can find greater success. We're also going to be making warm introductions to customers. obviously. You know, since 2014, we built up quite a Rolodex of operators in the industry, influencers, kingmakers, who can make introductions and also bring you on as vendors. So state licensed cannabis businesses, Canadian licensed producers, MSOs, we're very lucky to have great contacts there. And then, you know, we also want to make sure that we're tapping into the folks who are seeing more businesses than anyone else and diving in and being analytical about those businesses more than anyone else. And those are the VCs, the cannabis focused funds. So, you know, we're going to set up calls with folks like AFI, Salveo, Wellcam, Big Rock, ArcView Members Fund, Arcadian, Outbound Ventures, Trust, Tutara, WGD. We're going to make sure that if their interest is in your company type, we're getting in touch with them. Now, it may not just be for investment. You know, certainly we're not focusing on that right now in the program. We're going to be asking for advice and, you know, getting them to engage as good helpers. All right, let's move to phase 3. So phase 3 is more focused on the demo day. And demo day for this growth incubator cohort takes a little bit of a different flavor. You know, we're not raising capital, so we want to get you in front of and have you demo your product or your service with these companies, the MSOs, Canadian LPs, state licensed cannabis businesses. It is a true demo day. So the objective is to get you into conversations and give you an opportunity to close new clients and customers. And then phase 4, Celia, you want to talk a little bit about the Investor Hub and how we work post-program?
Yes, absolutely. So the Investor Hub was sort of our move to virtual with our last program, which pretty much culminated as everything was getting locked down. And so we had a bunch of in-person events that were canceled, and we moved to this virtual event. So the Investor Hub is a living platform. We have over 500 accredited investors registered on the Investor Hub. They come for content. So each week we're releasing new information about investing in cannabis. They sort of come for that, and then they stay for deals. So each of the companies in our program sort of gets a deal room. That's what you're looking at here on the screen. These are the various companies in sort of their respective deal rooms. Within that deal room, you can post a pitch video, any materials you want. This is a great way for investors to sort of see you. So what the Investor Hub looks like in terms of the program is you will come on, you'll pitch virtually, and then you'll be able to set up these rooms. And what I think is really cool about this is one of the few opportunities where we get to capture all that data. We get to capture all those analytics, and we can say, you know, this investor spent this much time on your page and downloaded these materials, and so we're going to make an introduction for you to that investor. And that kind of visibility is something that you don't really get with the in-person events. And so I think that it is a very powerful tool, the Investor Hub. But beyond the Investor Hub, you know, our relationship with our portfolio is something we really pride on ourselves on. We're very close with a lot of our portfolio. I talk to them every day. And so it's a long-term relationship. Yes, it is part of, you know, you come in, you do the program with us, but once you're in the Canopy ecosystem, you're in the Canopy ecosystem. We support the portfolio beyond that. We do that through ongoing introductions as our companies change, evolve, innovate, grow. There is always new needs, and at any time, our companies can come back to us, and we're happy to sort of put them in touch. So, you know, one of our companies the other day, I was talking to them, they're ready to look at e-com, and we were able to put them in touch with some e-com mentors, send them some videos that we have recorded that maybe weren't relevant when they were part of the program, but are relevant now. And so, you know, once you're in the portfolio, you have access to that information forever. And then one other thing I'm going to play for you here, actually, I'll come back to that. The other thing is we have a great relationship with the ArcView group. It's a large network of investors. One of the ways that we support our portfolio after the fact is to really tap them into that network. But what I want to play for you is this quick video just on what it looks like to be engaged with us after the program ends.
reality is the fact that Canopy is so proactive about engaging its community, engaging its former cohort members, has been so helpful to us. You know, these are really challenging times. As much as the cannabis industry is seeing growth during this time, you know, what that growth looks like is impacting us companies differently. And, you know, having someone like Patrick and Celia check in on us regularly, making sure that we have the support tools that we need. And again, all the things that we benefited during the actual cohort experience, the same things like posing questions that push us to think outside the box, creating a support environment, connecting us with investors or connecting us with other companies that may be aligned with some of the work that we're doing. All of those things have not stopped at all since our cohort has graduated or since the advent of COVID-19.
Great. All right, Patrick, why don't you take over and talk a little bit about the offer?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, the offer is everything that we've detailed and then capital. And we want this capital being focused and used for sales, marketing, and growth. If you are wanting to bring on capital to hire an engineer or to focus on your product, I don't think this program is going to be right for you. So we're going to make $100,000 investment, and then we call back $25,000 for the program fee. So net $75,000 in cash. Like I said, capital is to be used for sales, marketing, and growth. And we have additional capital to invest, and we're going to use the incubator, growth incubator, to suss out who's the most worthy. And you know, there's no specific criteria for that, but we're going to utilize our experience with investing in 100, 15, 16 companies, and then also the experience of our mentors, advisors, and investment committee to make that call. So we will document $100,000 investment like other accelerators do, and then there's a small charge for the program fee. But if you are concerned about that and you want to hear more about and try to understand if it's worth it, you know, let us know. We're very happy to put you in touch with any of our alumni to unpack that for you. So that's our offer. Oh, and what I would say is that the investment is going to be made on very fair terms. Certainly, you know, the companies, the valuations, 100 to 1,000 times revenues, they are a thing of the past. Valuations have come down. We're looking at comps to mainstream industries like technology, like SaaS. You know, for data, we look at data comps. We're not necessarily asking for a premium. We're not going to be awarding a premium on investment. As an entrepreneur, I wouldn't be asking for that now. But we're not looking to cut your valuation by 50, 60%, because that isn't necessarily fair either, though that is definitely where we have seen a number of deals in the market with revenue generating companies. And what I can tell you is that when we're looking at valuation, you know, we've got 100 plus companies in our portfolio who we track their monthly sales, we track their fundraisers and valuations, and you know, we know not only intuitively but also backed by data what your valuation should probably be. And you know, we're always happy to talk about that. That's definitely a part of the learning process that we usually bring companies in. We run through weeks on venture capital and valuing and tying it to financial models. And we can definitely have conversations about that when we're talking about this investment. But I will say that the objective is to be fair.
Great. Okay. You want to talk about what we look for, Patrick?
Yeah. Again, I can't emphasize enough. Ancillary products and services, not CBD hemp, not state licensed THC businesses. When we're looking at applicants, we want to see a team, right? This entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey. You never really want to enter into it on your own because there's going to be highs and lows, and your teammate, your co-founders are going to keep your ego in check when you're at your highest highs, and then pull you up together when you're at your lowest lows. So team is critical. It doesn't need to be necessarily perfectly balanced, but there needs to be some complementary nature there. Proven product market fit. Like I said, we're not looking at pre-revenue businesses. You have to be generating sales. I talk about turning the wheel of the business, right? You identify a problem, you satisfy that problem with your product or service, you go to the market responds, somebody or a couple of companies will engage with you, and then you need to deliver it, right? And you need to bill, and you need to satisfy, you need to onboard, you need to get that into their hands and experience that cycle. With sales traction, we just want to see that the market is responsive, and we want to have, frankly, customers that we can go interview and find out what their thoughts are, and use them to assess you as an opportunity for investment and partnership. And these are nothing abnormal here. This is all very market standard. And then frankly, we're looking for a team who wants to focus on sales, marketing, and scaling growth, do a sprint about the business, and see what we can do together.
All right. All right, so let's just talk really quickly about the timing and the application process. Google Slides is just always moving around on its own. Okay, so I think a lot of you may have already done this, but the way that this works, well, let me back up. Applications are due on Friday, June 22nd. So please go ahead and get your requests put in and everything. You can do that today. There's a link. We'll make sure that you have that. And then we're trying to make decisions. It'll be a little bit of a rolling decision making, and we'll talk about what that process looks like here in just a sec. So you request an application. The request is really just filtering out whether or not if you're not an ancillary business or if you're not revenue generating. So if you mark those things, you're gonna get an auto email from us, nothing personal, just saying you don't really meet our criteria, and that's all that request is really designed for. Then you'll get a complete application. That's a long form application. It's done through Typeform. You can go through, pull those questions out, work on it in Google Docs or Word, and put them back in. That's probably the way I would do it. If we like that, we're going to ask for a pitch deck. This is something, if you're very interested and you don't have a pitch deck, I recommend you start working on this now. Any VC that you talk to about getting investment is going to need to see a pitch deck. We don't need to see a full business model. That's not really a thing these days that people are looking for. We just want to see a deck. There's some really great resources on our website and on our YouTube channel about how to put together a deck. And so if you don't really know where to start, that might be a good place to begin. Once we review the pitch deck, if we like that, we're going to set up an initial interview with you, maybe with Patrick, maybe with me, maybe with both of us, and we'll just kind of go through some questions and see how that goes. Then we'll review it. Patrick and I will review it. We'll, along with our investment committee, we'll talk about kind of what questions we have. This is a process. I can't stress that enough. This is not ever going to be something where you just check a couple of boxes and we say, okay, you're in. This is very much a process about getting to know you. We're entering into a relationship with you as an investor. And so it's really important to us that it's the right fit on both sides. We're the right fit for you as an organization, and you're the right fit for us as an organization. And so there is going to be a lot of back and forth on a lot of conversations, a lot of questions that we're going to want answered. After that review, that's really when we jump into due diligence, and that's going to be more traditional due diligence. We're going to want to look at your financials. We're going to want to talk to your customers. If you have other investors, we probably want to talk to them. We're really just that's the holistic view of the company. And then if we like it, we make you an offer. And then that is sort of when negotiation begins and we start talking about terms and that kind of thing. And so this is what the process looks like. We don't have a ton of time, but Patrick has done this so many times. He's an expert. We're going to zoom through this. And we promise you this is very much top of our priority list. And so we're going to get to all of these applications as fast as we possibly can. So that's it. That was a lot of information, a lot of talking. So please go ahead and if you want, you could just sort of drop your questions into the chat down here, and we're happy to get to them. So.
One of the things, Patrick, here that we often get asked is, you know, if I can I use the money for things other than sales and marketing? And you know, look, this is a place where we got to come into agreement. And you know, every investment company has criteria, and for us, the criteria for this incubator, which is different than the last accelerator we did, which is different than the one before. We're constantly trying to change and be beyond right there with the market, is focusing on sales and marketing. And there's a lot of reasons for that. That's where I think, you know, we can have the most impact right now. And I think that's where, you know, if you can make it through growing, and I'll be honest with you, like the companies that we've invested in so far for the last 2 years, they're up 37% in May over April. You know, by focusing on sales marketing, you become not just a great business and leaders, you learn the most. And then investors are more interested in you than the companies that are maybe sort of bopping around up, down. So let's see, we've got some questions in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you help nonprofits too? We do not. We support nonprofits. We know that we stand on the shoulders of giants in the advocacy space, folks that are helping patients, nonprofits. But we are at the core an investment company, and our investors are looking for a return. So nonprofits, not something we're interested in. Let's see, how many companies are you selecting for the upcoming cohort? 4. So it's very, very, very selective. In the past, we've accepted up to 10. So this is really trying to thread a needle here and hold very firm with our criteria and make sure we find the right companies. Let's see, I see here one from Emily. A service provider such as a media or distribution company, would it be considered ancillary? So media, yes. And I think we define media as content being provided to consumers or trade, B2C, B2B, that often those are subscription models or ad-driven models or affiliate models. Distribution, I'm not exactly sure, Emily, what you're referring to there, but maybe you can unpack that for us. Let's see.
Let me just real quick, Patrick, jump in here on the question about media and other companies. You know, one of the things that I think is really important to think about is whether or not you're a venture-backed business. So not every business is going to be venture-backed, and that's totally fine. But we're looking at companies that want to scale rapidly and are looking at 10xing their return and exiting in the next 5 to 7 to 10 years. That's what we mean by venture-backed businesses. So if it's a company that hinges upon the talents of 1 or 2 people, we always say if your founder got hit by a bus tomorrow, like would the company continue? We need companies that, you know, venture-backed companies are the ones that sort of are running on their own and can kind of continue and aren't really like agency or consultancy sort of type businesses.
Great point. These lifestyle businesses, you know, the entrepreneurship has many flavors, and you know, not every one of them is good, right? A lot of them are great businesses and great for the people that work there, but they're not necessarily great for outside investors. And you know, so we one of the criteria is it's got to be a business that can scale fast and that there is an exit and the founder wants to do that. If you would like to create a business that employ a handful of people and live a great life in you know, serving a number of manageable clients, you know, that's awesome. And I think, you know, looking for venture style investment probably isn't the best thing because it'll create an imbalance of expectations that, you know, you don't want to have. No one wants that. You want to make sure you're on the same page if you're with your investor, if you're bringing that on. Let's see, we see a question from Brandon. Has there been a scenario where companies have seen a downturn in revenue during the program? Yes, absolutely. With our accelerator programs, it can be distracting, honestly. And we have seen companies that there's so much information and so many opportunities being thrown at them that they do lose that that rudder. They lose that focus on sales. And honestly, that's okay. Sometimes you got to take a step back to take a couple step forwards, and usually that's the case, right? So we actually had a company in our last accelerator program. Now they were a CBD company, and that's not what we're focusing on right now. For the Growth Incubator, we're not taking in any CBD companies, but they definitely saw a decline in sales. And, I think it was because they were really focusing on areas where they just, there was a lot of good ideas. They had to go through a process of testing those ideas, and they found a lot of those ideas didn't work. However, all of that experience got them to a point where they could experiment with the next A/B test. And then they found it. They found traction, and they started, really digging into that strategy or that tactic that was returning them sales. The second part of the question is, what is the expectation of consistency growth during, after the program? Well, we want you to grow as fast as you possibly can. And that should be something that you want to do as well. Our expectation is for high growth companies is they're growing, week over week by, 7%. And because that compounds into almost a doubling of sales year over year. And that type of growth is what you want to be doing as a startup. So if we don't see that that's possible with your business model, we can't justify that together, then maybe that you're not the right company for this Canopy Boulder Growth Incubator Program.
We have one more question, Patrick, in here about, from Eric, ag tech companies that serve forms of controlled agriculture, including cannabis.
Yeah, we actually have a fair bit of experience with ag tech companies. We were the first investors in Front Range Biosciences, first investors in Grownetics. We've got, B2B and B2C ag tech. So yeah, we are definitely interested in ag tech. But we know ag tech really well. We know the controlled environment, agricultural market very, very well. So we can actually help a lot there with those types of companies. Let's see. Oh, so I'm going back to Emily's question about media and then distribution. She's saying assisting brands with international distribution. Many are confused about legalities and how to mine for leads. Yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting one. Certainly, the business model for distribution is quite transactional. I'm interested in what you're offering there, Emily. So definitely, please do apply. All right. And then we got a note from Ryan. That's awesome. We'll get back to you about processing hemp stock into fiber and hurd. Definitely, I think I'm familiar with that one. So any other questions? What are some of the most common questions that we get, Celia, about the program? Some people ask for the time commitment. What's the time commitment? And, with our accelerator program, that usually is around, if you have a 50, 60-hour week at the minimum, that might be a 10-hour commitment a week. With the program, what's an average week going to look like? We're definitely going to meet as a group and have a kickoff call at the beginning of the week to make sure we're sort of sharing what we're all going through. What did you do last week? What are your goals this week? What's keeping you up at night? That seems to be a good way to be accountable to others. And that's a big part about this program, is being accountable and sort of, weaving in accountability to everything that you're doing. We're going to have, sales pitch practice. We're all going to get up and do on a Zoom call and do your sales pitch, right? And get feedback from everybody about how you might tweak words, how you might rephrase things, or how you might say less to have a bigger impact. We're also going to have mentor presentations, right, that you can tune into. We have a library of recorded mentor presentations from past cohorts, and we're going to aggregate all of the mentor presentations that have come from those programs that are focused on sales, marketing, and growth into a bit of a library online for you to view. But we're also going to bring in people that you want to meet and you want to hear from and that want to talk to you about what you're doing. And then usually we have a one-on-one call at least once a week with each team to make sure that we're diving into their business in a way that is going to make sure they're getting full value out of us, the network, and the program. You know, we're like kind of directors here. We certainly are giving you notes and giving you feedback, but we want to make sure that there's a good village built around you. So you're surrounded by mentors, advisors, and people in the industry who are giving you, and alumni who are giving you rapid feedback in an environment where you could receive it. And what I mean by that is that very often feedback is given in a way that is softened or hardened to a point where it's almost rendered useless, right? They're not telling you the truth. They're not being, complete with their feedback. That's almost too soft, right? And then sometimes people give feedback and it's too hard. They're too harsh. What we try to do is find that Goldilocks, that middle ground, coach our mentors and everyone, help our founders make sense of feedback so that it can be absorbed, utilized for the benefit of the individual and the business. And then, usually we have a group call at the end of the week, so that we can sort of celebrate our wins, ring the bell if we've got a new sale, right? Celebrate our wins together and sort of mourn our losses and pick each other up. Because it really, the things that I think we never, or sometimes when we started this, I never really imagined would be so great, of great value, were the relationships between the companies and the alumni and the partnerships and the joint ventures and everything that comes from being part of the community. Heck, I was on a call with one of our alumni just yesterday and was getting an update, and he started talking about one of our mentors who's now on the team and running marketing for them. And it's just awesome to see that these connections come from being together. And if we can't be together in person, we want to be together online and make sure we're keeping a strong culture and the fabric of Canopy Boulder.
Yeah. Just want to answer Beautiful Existence's question here about past knowledge and services. Yes, we are an organization that is very focused on innovation, and that's the only reason that we can do what we do well. This industry changes so fast, and we understand that. It's dog years, right? What happened 6 months ago is irrelevant, and so that is something that's very top of mind. We try to stay as up on that as we possibly can, right? We're bringing in people who are on the front line. They're doing this stuff themselves. And so they're going to be there and sort of sharing what they're learning as they're learning it. We're definitely not only dipping into past information because we understand how in this industry can sometimes become irrelevant really fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the world, I'd say that, I think Celia nailed it. The world's changing really fast, but it's like style versus fashion, right? There's some things that are always in style, and fashion changes regularly, and you need to pay attention to both, right? You need to understand the fundamentals and the approaches, but you also need to understand what the new ideas are and what the new, so you can be really responsive, not necessarily reactive, but responsive to the environment you're in. So again, I think if you speak to any of our alumni, we're definitely on top of things in the industry. We love the industry. We love the dynamicism of the industry. We love change, and we love sort of navigating all of that with our teams and being a real partner, really active partner with the companies that we invest in. It's not just a 4-week program, right? This is a relationship that will last for years. And we want to make sure we're partnering up with people that we like. We like their business models. We like the way they approach things. We want to go have a beer with them whenever we can have another beer with everybody. We're definitely looking forward to that day. And I think for Celia and I, we like to get our shit done, and we like to work with people who get it done too. So we're looking for a bunch of doers that want to come and be part of this growth incubator.
Yep. Cool. Any other questions? We're kind of hitting time soon, but I want to make sure that we get any questions answered here.
These are great questions, so thank you, everybody.
And we're available. You probably all have my email address at this point. So feel free to reach out. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'm also on LinkedIn. Yeah, so we're around. So please do reach out to us if you have questions. Please remember the application is due on Friday. That's really not long from now at all. And we want as thoughtful of an application as possible. So I recommend you get started as soon as you can. You can do that if you go to, actually, I'm going to go ahead and just drop it in the chat. I'll drop the link in here so that you guys can pick it up if you haven't already, and get all the info you need. And that's it.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that the earlier you get your application in, the more time we have to spend with it, the more time we have to think about it, meditate on it, and talk to our community about it. So it gives you a definite and distinct advantage. So I would just encourage you to apply today.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for taking the time, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.